Good day, everyone. Today we'll be having our first ever lesson in reading and writing skills. Today's lesson is all about patterns of development in writing across disciplines. At the end of our lesson, we can be able to do the following objectives. Number one, to distinguish the patterns of written text across disciplines. Number two, to identify the signal words for each text type structure. And number three, to create a graphic organizer of the various text types. Writing paragraphs. So let's define first what a paragraph means. A paragraph is a collection of related sentences with one central idea. It is an independent unit, has a complete in itself, and it has its beginning, middle. Beginning refers to the introduction, middle refers to the body, the first, and of course the end refers to its conclusion. Now, as a related unit, it is part of a composition that is combined with other paragraphs to make a larger composition. So the different academic texts that we have learned during first semester is an example of a composition that needs to have beginning, middle, and end, or the introduction, body, conclusion. An effective paragraph shows the unity of the sentences using or used in developing the main sentence. And there are three main parts of a paragraph. We have the topic sentence, the supporting details, and the conclusion, or also known as the closing sentence. In topic sentence, it refers to the main idea or the central idea of the paragraph itself. The supporting details refers to the information which are based on facts, statements, or even specific examples, which will help you to provide an effective composition. And of course, the last one, we have the conclusion or the closing sentence. At the end of your paragraph, it's very important to provide a summary, which will sum up the whole paragraph. Now, let's have this example. So here, in this paragraph, after reading, we have to identify where is the topic sentence. As you can see, the main idea or the topic sentence is none other than oceans and lakes have much in common, but they are also quite different. The remaining sentences in this paragraph is what we call the supporting details, and the last part is what we call the clinching sentence or the conclusion part, wherein the author used different signal words to indicate that the paragraph used um, text structure or text types. Next one, we have the methods or techniques in paragraph development, text types or structures. Now, as you can see, there's a lot of terms here wherein you are already familiar since you already encountered this one during your first semester period in EAPP. We have narration, description, definition, classification, comparison and contrast, cause and effect, problem solution, persuasion. Number one, we have narration. In narration, it gives a written account of an event or story, or simply storytelling. Since you are having a storytelling, it's important to tell the story in chronological order or sequence the events in chronological order. Under narration, you can do the narrative paragraph by simply telling what happened and establishing facts. It describes how, when, and where an event or occurrence actually happened. Once again, in narrative paragraph, you have to tell the story or the events in chronological order. Narration is the most common type of paragraph development, and it has the following elements. And I know that you are already familiar with these terms since when you were in junior high school, you encountered this one as the five elements of short story. You have setting, it is where the story, when and where the story takes place, the characters. This refer to the persons who are involved in the story, and the plot, it refers to the events, sequence of events happened in the story, and of course the point of view of the author itself, if he or she used first person, second person, or third person point of view. Number two, we have the description. In description, since we are pertaining to description, we have to give information. We have to describe of what a person is, an object, a place, or a situation is like. Giving description is also giving information or describing a certain thing. Under description, we have descriptive paragraph. In descriptive paragraph, it has concrete and specific details, which are carefully chosen by a writer to paint a picture in the mind of the reader. It appeals to the reader's senses, and there are signal words that we can use in order for us to successfully describe a certain thing. And here are the signal words for description that we can use in order for us to create a well-equipped descriptive paragraph. Under sight, we have sparkling, gleaming, glossy, bright, dazzling, cloudy, and blurred. Under sound, we have loud, sweet, whisper, whisk, pitch, short, smooth. Under smell, we have musty, rotten, fragrant, fresh, pungent, fruity, stinky. Under touch, we have sticky, grainy, smooth, satiny, pointy, gland, and furry. Under taste, we have spicy, sweet, sour, bitter, bland, creamy, and delectable. So we can use those similar words for description if ever that we're going to create a descriptive paragraph. Number three, we have definition. This term is not tricky because you are already familiar with this term. It explains a concept, a term, or a subject. Its main purpose is to tell what something is. So when we say definition, we are looking for a meaning. No? We are looking for its meaning, either from the dictionary or from the internet itself. Definition is the main constituent of any dictionary. In developing a paragraph by definition, we should take account of these things. The first one is the term to be defined, or the word to be defined. The second one is the class to which the term belongs. Third, the characteristics that distinguish the term from the other members of its class. Now, I want you to take a look at this example of a definition. We have the word owl. The word owl is a term to be defined. We have the bird in this sentence is a class where the owl belongs. And of course, the remaining words uh, refer to the characteristics that distinguish the owl from the other words. So this one is a perfect example of scrutinizing of what definition means, of what the definition really means. There are two different types of definitions. We have formal definition and informal definition. Now let's see what's the difference between the two. The formal definition refers to the definition or meaning wherein it is provided coming from the dictionaries. That means it refers to the literal meaning of the word itself. On the other hand, we have informal definition, and there are three common types under it. We have operational definition, synonyms, and connotations. Operational definition refers to the words or the meaning of the words, which vary depending on when and where you are going to use it. The second one we have the synonyms. It refers to the words. It refers to the words that mean the same as another word. So it is synonymous to the word of what, for example. We have the word beautiful. So if we're going to look for its synonym, synonymous words, we have pretty, gorgeous, and etc. Next, last but not least, we have connotation. Connotation is an idea or meaning suggested by or associated with a word or phrase. You can say also that connotation refers to the symbolic meaning of a certain word. For example, the word white, no? The formal definition of the word white, if we're going to define the word white, it is a color. That's the meaning of it. It is a color. But if we're going to look for the informal definition of white and the connotation, the question is, what is the symbolic representation of white? So the meaning or the symbolic representation of white means purity. Aside from that, we can say that it means cleanliness or peace. So there's a lot of different connotation with that word. If we're going to talk informal definition, but In format definition, it refers to its literal meaning itself. Here are the signal words for definition. You can use the following. We have is defined as, to define, refers to, means, as defined, and to illustrate. So you can use the following signal words for definition if ever that you're going to give meaning on a certain word. Number 4, we have classification. In classification, we group items into categories to establish a clear distinction between related or similar ideas. In a classification paragraph, you tell readers how a collection of items can be sorted into categories, and it is an activity of sorting items, people, things, and ideas into categories. Now, here is the signal word for classification. We have the following aspects, areas can be divided, can be classified, kinds, levels, qualities, systems can be categorized, the first type, traits, and types. Once again, you can use those signal words if ever that you're going to classify or if you're going to categorize um group of data. Number 5, we have comparison and contrast. When we say comparison, it tells how two things are similar, their similarities. On the other hand, contrast tells how they are different. A comparison and a contrast paragraph has a unifying and zero purpose of attempting to weigh decisions between two ideas or subjects. It must be balanced in such a way that there is an equal amount of information for each subject to avoid bias. Once again, in comparison and contrast, we are going to determine their similarities and their differences from one another without bias. Now, here are the signal words for comparing. We have also both, as, like, equally, similarly, to compare, likewise, in a similar fashion, in the same way, and in comparison. When it comes to signal words for contrasting, we have the following. We have over, however, whereas, but, despite, in contrast, on the contrary, as opposed to, instead, unlike, on the other hand, and given though. Next one, number 6, we have cause and effect. A cause is what makes a particular thing happen, and an effect is what results from a particular situation, activity, or behavior. The purposes of the cause and effect paragraphs are the following. First is to discuss why a certain phenomenon occurs. Second, to discuss the results of a phenomenon, event, feeling, or action. Third, to understand a situation or to solve a problem. Next, to predict an outcome. Another one is to have to entertain. Last but not least is to persuade. Now, here are the signal words for cause and effect. We have for, due to, for these reasons, otherwise, because, consequently, as a result, therefore, since, but, so, and thus. Number 7, we have problem solution. Here, in problem solution, you can say that it is a method for analyzing and writing about a topic by identifying a problem and proposing one or more solutions. If you still remember the thing or the paper or the academic paper that you did last semester, which is the concept paper, you can say that somehow it is related with this technique, problem solution, wherein at first we have to identify what would be the problem. And then after identifying the problem itself, you're going to propose one or more solutions to solve that problem. And that is under problem solution. Problem solution paragraphs, as the term implies, presents and identifies a problem and proposes possible solutions. Of course, it is not advisable to propose a solution without thinking first or without plotting first the problem itself. According to Lord Chris 1995, he suggested that the following structure of a problem solution paper are the following. First one, we have introduction. The second one is problem paragraph. The third one is the solution paragraph. And last but not least, of course, the conclusion itself. So if we're going to incorporate it with the academic paper, concept paper, we can say that problem paragraph refers to your rationale, and then the solution paragraph is referred to the project description itself, wherein you're going to propose the possible solutions that you have mentioned or that you have written within the problem paragraph or the rationale itself. Now, here are the signal words for problem solution that you can use. First, we have but, first, second, nonetheless, the problem, the solution, one reason for that, one solution, and one way in. So you can use the following signal words if ever that you're going to do a problem solution essay. Next one, the last technique we have is persuasion. Here, it intends to convince readers to do or believe in something. Under persuasion, we have persuasive paragraph. In persuasive paragraph, it tries to convince the reader that a particular point of view is worthy of consideration. Although it is a great challenge for you as a writer to convince your reader, most especially if your readers already have um, a strong conviction about a certain idea or topic. It wants you to consider both sides of an issue, but it reveals a bias in favor of one side over another. Now, here are the signal words for persuasion. Under give reasons, you can use the following signal words. Under answer the opposition, you can use the following signal words. And under draw conclusion, you can use the following signal words. So make sure that if you're going to do some persuasive writing or persuasive paragraph, it is highly recommended to use signal words in order for your readers to understand that you are convincing them. And at the same time, it will make your academic text or paper well equipped. Thank you for watching, and I hope you learned something. See you on my next one. Bye, guys.